Hello everyone, it's your boy Dominic Capilupo here with another episode of the DCAP, a new sports podcast talking everything sports. Today I will be talking about the record-breaking contract signed this past week in the NFL and one big trade that occurred between the Saints and the Jets. So, I want to start this show by talking about Aaron Rodgers. This past week, Aaron Rodgers signed a 4-year contract extension worth $134 million, $103 million guaranteed out of that. And he will have $80 million of that by St. Patrick's Day next year. So between now and March 17th next year, Aaron Rodgers is going to have $80 more million. That is insane, in my opinion. It makes him the highest paid quarterback. That's going to give him $34 million a year. And the highest paid quarterback before this was Matt Ryan on the Falcons. And his contract is at $150 million, but that's for 5 years, giving him $30 million a year. So Aaron Rodgers is making $4 more million a year than Matt Ryan. I think it's absolutely insane that quarterbacks are getting paid this much. Obviously, they are the heart and soul of the offense. They touch the ball every snap. And you need a true leader. A team can't function without a good quarterback nowadays. It's really a make or break position, as you saw with the Packers last year. They had no one. They just fell apart with Brett Hundley at quarterback, and they just could not do anything when Aaron Rodgers went down for the season. So maybe because Aaron Rodgers is the biggest influential quarterback to a team, he is the make or break. So I guess, he deserves to be the highest paid quarterback, no doubt. But whether an NFL player should be getting paid that much is insane. I think it's crazy, and I guess we never really heard Aaron Rodgers. There was no, feud between the team and him, struggling with money problems, them being far apart on a number. But this brings me to a point that I've always thought about. Tom Brady, one thing I can admire about the guy is he's been able to lower his contract and reconstruct it to help the team free cap space and go out and get some players for him. It really shows that Tom Brady is playing to win and not for the money. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers isn't playing to win. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is probably the best. He is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. I'm not taking any quarterback other than Aaron Rodgers right now at this point. So he definitely does deserve to be the highest paid. This amount of money is crazy, though, for an athlete. So I'm not going to sit here and trash Aaron Rodgers. He is definitely well deserving of it. But that money is just unbelievable for a human being to be making that much to play football. So good for Aaron Rodgers, and hopefully he can live up to that expectation. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt, because the NFL is just not the same without Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers makes games interesting. There's no one better to watch in a 2-minute drill than Aaron Rodgers. He makes it just so exciting, and he always comes up with the late game heroics. And hopefully we get to see more of that. Now, the other player that signed a record contract is Odell Beckham Jr. He signed a 5-year, $95 million contract. He is now the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. Now, this has stirred up some controversy, as Antonio Brown's on a contract where he's getting $68 million, and that's about $17 a year. And people are saying that Antonio Brown should have more money than Odell Beckham. And I think if Antonio Brown gets to that point and keeps playing at the level he is at right now, and he gets to a point where he needs to sign an extension, I think the Steelers will be willing to give him that money. I don't have any doubt about that. I think AB will become the next highest paid receiver. Um, I think Odell Beckham Jr. This really shows how much the Giants have faith in him, especially how he went down in Week 5 last year with a broken ankle and didn't play the rest of the season. He has had injury problems before, but going into this season so far, there's been no injury problems for Odell. So hopefully he can also live up to that number. It's also insane how he's getting $95 million for 5 years to be an NFL wide receiver. I think he's easily a top 3 receiver. I think Antonio Brown is the clear-cut number 1. But I think you got to go 2 and 3. I think Hopkins is there with Odell Beckham. I don't know who's 2 and who's 3. I think they're that close. You could flip-flop them either way. But they definitely... Odell Beckham Jr. deserves this money, and it's just at this point he's going to get more money than Antonio Brown, but I wouldn't be surprised if Antonio Brown in the next couple of years gets his contract reconstructed and he gets more money. So expect him to take over that title of highest paid wide receiver, because Odell Beckham, we really haven't gotten to see too many full seasons out of him since he came into the league in 2014, and hopefully this season he could stay healthy the whole year and play all 16 games with no injury issues, because then we could really see what he could do this year, because that Giants offense is revamped. I think they've got a better offensive line for Eli Manning. I think they got a run game now, so that'll take more pressure off Eli Manning, and they could work with some play action. I think the Giants have lacked the play action because of the lack of a run game. And now you've got an improved offensive line with Nate Solder and Will Hernandez. And now you've got a running back like Saquon Barkley. I think he could be the best running back the Giants have had since Tiki Barber. Now, Ahmad Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs were good. And hopefully Jonathan Stewart could bring something to the table like Brandon Jacobs did. Like you got a 3rd and 1 or some 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. You could bring in Jonathan Stewart, an experienced veteran, to pound that ball to get the first down or push it into the end zone. I think that's a great pickup. Obviously, he hasn't shown anything that great in preseason, but I think it's preseason, and Pat Shurmur said it right. There's no reason to be worried about that. I think he comes into this season almost in a similar position where he was in Carolina, sitting behind Christian McCaffrey. I think he could bring a lot of veteran leadership to this offense, and I think he could really help out in a big way, even if it's not on the field. I think he brings that veteran presence off the field, and I think he could teach Saquon some stuff about the NFL, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that offense pick it up. And you've got some decent supporting staff in the wide receiver corps. You've got Sterling Shepard. You've got a ton of receivers this season. I mean, there's really been no definitive third guy yet for the Giants. I think it's really going to be a mix and match kind of thing. But you've also got Evan Ingram, who is an amazing receiver out of LSU. Or Ole Miss, my bad. And he was really good last year. He really stepped up in his rookie year when all the receivers fell out, like Odell, Sterling Shepard, and Brandon Marshall. And I think Evan Ingram's gonna get his fair share of targets, and I think that's gonna help him. He's not that much of a blocking tight end. Obviously, you've got Rhett Ellison for that and Jarrell Adams. But Evan Ingram is almost like another receiver playing the tight end spot, so he could get a lot of mismatches with his speed and his toughness. I definitely see Evan Ingram helping a lot in that offense. And, I mean, you've got Cody Latimer, you got Hunter Sharp, Russell Shepard. Definitely going to be a lot of cuts on the receiver ends for the Giants. Um, but definitely a lot of excitement for that Giants offense. It's definitely looking like to be their best offense since their Super Bowl season in 2011. So there's a lot to be excited about here with that offense led by Eli, Saquon, and Odell Beckham. And the last thing I want to talk to you guys about today is the trade between the Saints and the Jets. I think this is a big trade. I think this could be a good thing for Teddy Bridgewater as he got traded from the Jets to the Saints. And I think this is what Teddy Bridgewater needed. I didn't think being with the Jets was going to be too good. I felt like that was Darnold's job from the start. I felt like Sam Darnold, once they drafted him, the plan was going to start him. And then they have Josh McCown there for that veteran presence, a good backup. And Josh McCown's definitely going to have a lot to offer as an insight for Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold's going to have that presence. So there really was no need to keep Teddy Bridgewater there. Now he goes to the Saints, and that helps the Saints a lot. This allows the Saints to have a good backup quarterback. I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to learn a lot by being behind Drew Brees. I think being behind Drew Brees is getting up there in age. So Drew Brees isn't going to play forever. And Teddy Bridgewater is still young. So I think this could shape up to be Teddy Bridgewater's chance to sit behind Drew Brees for the next few years. And God forbid something happens to Drew Brees, he comes in. But this could be Teddy Bridgewater's chance. And Teddy Bridgewater could come in once Drew Brees goes down or retires, and it could be his job as long as nothing drastic happens to the Saints. It could be very good for Teddy Bridgewater. Obviously, he's not the best quarterback accurately. He's got some speed. He can roll out. He can run. And the Saints are obviously not used to that with Drew Brees being there for a long time. Teddy Bridgewater is 25 years old. He is so young. You saw what he did with the Vikings. And I think he has that potential to be a starting quarterback one day. He's still young, even if he sits behind Drew Brees for 3-4 years. Look at Aaron Rodgers. He had to sit behind Brett Favre for 3-4 years, and look at what he came out to be. I think the same thing could be happening for Teddy Bridgewater. A new location. He's going to be playing in a dome again. It's like Minnesota. And I feel like he's looked decent in the preseason. He would have had to have done something spectacular to win that starting job for the Jets. But again, like Sam Darnold, I feel like the Jets drafted him, and that was like their plan. Teddy wasn't going to be the starter. Like, that was Sam Darnold's job to lose, unless Sam Darnold really did bad or someone like McCown or Bridgewater really just opened eyes. It wasn't going to happen. So now you got Teddy Bridgewater back in the NFC, and he can be familiar with these teams. He's definitely played them before, so definitely no problem. So expect some good stuff out of Teddy Bridgewater. Obviously the Saints don't want to see him play in the regular season. They want Drew Brees. But when Drew Brees finally calls it a career, I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the man for that team for years to come. And I think he could definitely keep that team at bay when Drew Brees retires, so that team won't go into a downward spiral. Alright, so that's all I got for you guys today. Definitely not as long of an episode today, but thanks guys for listening. If you guys just subscribe here on YouTube, and hopefully as this gets bigger, we'll be expanding to new platforms, and we will keep growing, and hopefully I get to keep doing this for you guys. Comment if you have anything to say about this, anything you want me to talk about, and I want you to thank you guys for listening, and have a great day.